There was a wooden door opening. Most likely on... Yep, most likely on metallic hinges, because there's some squeaks earlier, too. Again, the horses and wagons. Some chains, I think. It's amazing that just listening can give you an idea of the level of technology of a place that you're at. Can speak about the culture of that place as it doesn't sound like these people are at war. There might be a sense of cooperation. That sounds like a wooden sign swinging outside of maybe a restaurant or a shop. So the people who live here do have a community. It sounds very peaceful. Definitely nighttime sounds. But that also speaks to these people. They have the ability and even the security to stay up at night, to exist and do things while it's dark. And they also have found a way to live with natural elements. All the trees and the grasses weren't cleared because we hear the crickets and we hear the owls. I think... Well, either a fountain turned on in the public square for about 30 seconds, or maybe someone just staggered out of a bar for about 30 seconds. And that also speaks to the level of technology and to the culture of these people. And all we're doing is listening. Jacer says, unfortunately, almost everything a civilian touches is a product, byproduct, or result, or based on war. As we are results of a great catastrophe that wiped out the dinosaurs, and, well, mice had to survive. They survived and they struggled, and now here we go. The innovation has come at great expense and cost, which is why we have worked to find ways to preserve our memories, or to make life hopefully easier for the generations to come through technology. And of course, we hope through cultural communication and contacts. Is that always the case? No, but that's because we are who we are. But I want to take this now. We're listening to a fantasy realm. Oh, there's that bell again. Some people with an ear better than I could listen to that and even tell me what the material of that bell is. So, we covered this. Let's give a super quick review of the natural and post-gaining intelligence and civility phase, era, eon, age of the people we have created in this universe we built from a very literal nothing. So for those of you lurking, a quick review, a little lesson, and we'll get into everything else. We have a universe that has galaxies. One galaxy among the billions has 12 arms and is spiral. It is dense with stars. And a solar system within that galaxy has 2 suns. And between or among the 2 suns is a system of 13 planets. One of those planets is where we find our story taking place. We find a people who have been uplifted from a primordial soup. Of course, this process took quite a while to happen, even with the realization of magic, this force existing. We made our proto world. We covered it in water. We ground down and raised up mountain ranges. We discussed the atmosphere and everything else. So we've broken it down and we've built it up many times over and over, because even the planet needed to be cracked a few times, needed to be stress tested, and is always itself an ever-evolving thing. It has 2 moons, one of which over here is in a near geosynchronous orbit after having collided with a massive comet that robbed it of a lot of its momentum and shattered, making this ring around the planet. It also plunged the planet into a disastrous, an extinction level ice age all around, as even the suns were blocked by a lot of the reflective ice crystals and the various new gases and elements introduced by this shattered comet. The second moon continues its orbit and has over time been collecting. It's been a Roomba, right? It's been this little vacuum, still going around and trying to pick up this stuff. And when viewed here, it almost has these trailing, like these kind of icy reflections, these kind of swirling trails. In effect, similar to the opening of Star Trek Voyager, if you're familiar. I should have opened that up, actually, during the break, but look it up yourself and you'll see what I mean. Okay? For a visual, right? We made our island, which was the whole time a Pangea. We discussed our primordial soup, how life, crawled up out of the muck, developed into all its forms of fungi and animals and plants. How even some of it splashed up to this point and developed on its own and crept down, and well, they met, and things that happened after that. Maybe some good, and maybe it led to some not good confrontation. Even on a microscopic level, the conflict occurs. I mean, what do we do to fight a bacterial animal infection but consume a fungus that will attack and kill it? That's a super reduced that's a super reduced a chain of events. But if you get what I'm saying, right? On all levels, it's not just human beings that fight. Ant colonies will fight. There are creatures that will just consume themselves, or consume each other on a microscopic level, let alone on a macroscopic one with political intrigue and not just the necessity to need to eat or obtain the resources from something else. Mushio, if we can help raise your spirits, let us know. I hope maybe even just listening and lurking, but as much as you want to participate, or if there's something that you want to, you came in, you sat down at the table here, if there's something that you want to bring up, you're welcome to do so. And lastly, we introduced our magic here, that the moon, the geosynchronous moon, is the source of the... Now, we know this in our out of character as the ultimate storyteller of this world. We know that the moon is the source of the magic. We know that the medium of magic is life that has adapted to this frequency, this resonance, this energy. And it's manifested by... And I didn't save the last part. It's manifested by an application of will. So it's not just a tree that has, I don't know, some receptor to magic. There must be a sapience and or sentience enough of one of the or the other or both in order to have this will to apply the magic that you are able to harness from the source of magic. Now, our species Mushio, I mean, hey, I'm not here to sound patronizing or sound like I'm talking down. You may very well know this. One of the best things is ask questions. It shows that you're paying attention. It shows that it's a way to confirm what you heard from your coworker or your supervisor or some other boss or authority. And it also shows that you want to take initiative and understand more. So that way you're also getting people talking not just to you, but with you back and forth. And I hope that can help you with your work situation. Find a way to develop a rapport with people and to have a smoother integration into your new work. So, probably redundant advice, but if it's coming from an independent third party, then I hope it reinforces that, you know what, you are doing the right thing, and you are absolutely going to get through it, and it will help you in the long run to achieve whatever you are trying to achieve through the career shift. So the creatures that we have uplifted into intelligent life are plant. They are plant-based. They are plantoid creatures, born and primarily exist in the shallows. This is kind of this is a D&D term. We don't really have a measurement, but they're small in some relative scale to other forms of life. And they do have manipulating tendrils as well as membranes, sort of like little frills that they can ripple, they can undulate, and they have the ability to even have some limited flight. They see through tactile stimuli, so there are no eyes, but the way that they would see or hear is with changes of pressure. Maybe there's like an intensity of light, but not necessarily sight itself. Now, how would you describe what they do or what they see if you were writing a story? A very similar fashion. If you're going to take the reader into their world, as these are the replacements of humans in some standard fantasy world, they're the ubiquitous, average at everything human. We would still describe things similarly. It's just how we sense it is different. Similar to how people who have synesthesia, they have eyes, they see things, though the way that the brain interprets the signals is different. They might feel the color purple, or taste a favorite song. It is still the song. A rose by any other name is still a rose. Though this is something that we are taking into consideration for descriptive purposes, biological purposes, and might play into a culture developed from a people who feel everything. Oh no! Oh, well, hey, I hope Darling Creepshow had a good stream. I think she was... did she get to finish painting her red dragon diadems? All the same, Raven, if you're hanging out, can we get a shout out to Darling Creepshow, please? Jay says, as long as you realize, own up, learn, and fix if able, you will continue to move forward. Thank you, Raven, for the shout out. Thank you, thank you. Now, I did write a brief, what we know as the creator. Now, not as the in-lore god, as the one, the over god, right? We are the creator of the setting. This is what we know that maybe not everyone in the setting has figured out yet. This is the series of events that was born through the first, like, half of our workshops. And I'm going to do another similar write-up based on the feedback I get from you all. This just details that extinction level event, the things that happened, how this species of plant came to be able to detect things and have tendrils that could manipulate items, grab items, maybe even go on to make tools and build things, because that's going to be important for tonight, okay? And how it was they're able to sense and do things. The challenges they faced that did compel their growth. And their biological growth then bore a culture. Their culture bore a religion. So we went over these first 3 tiers of the hierarchy in order to get that proto-culture, that primitive culture. Then we detailed, well, not detailed, but we got elements, a framework of the religion born from all the circumstances. From the fact it's a 12-armed spiral galaxy, to that we have plant people who are primarily aquatic but can also fly because of the density of the atmosphere above the water, as well as their ability to produce these gases that make them lighter than air. Now, chat voted that these the primary religion, and others might exist, and many religions exist among us as humans in our real world, but that they are a monotheistic people at this point in time. The monotheistic, the god, is usually conceptualized as by or with the sea and the sky. So it is more, this being is where they live, where they travel. It is not humanized in a sense. We might have a humanization representation of the Abrahamic god, or by other depictions of other spirits or gods. The religion's concerns, and this is in an order of importance. So primarily, the religion, as an extension of their culture, is serving and promoting a discovery of the unknown. It is promoting exploration. And that could be a journey of oneself. That could just be, there are distant seas and even skies. And our God wants us to explore them all, as we have for a very long time. Its secondary nature is to promote a strong sense of individuality. All right, have a good night, Storm's Fate. We'll talk about White Mage at another point. Then matters of life and death, such as creation of, I don't know, the universe or even the self. What happens when you die? What happens after you die? Is there, what is it that is focused on or taught? And then there is still a community aspect, despite the individuality promoted. And from the ranking, my strong feeling about this was that the concept reinforced is that if everyone is strong individually, society is strong because of that. And so it's important that you work on your strength of mind, your strength of body, your strength of will, your strength of magic. And that you that if you're strong yourself, you can help others to like encourage them to be stronger or to help protect them as might be needed. It's primarily practiced in large buildings with large gatherings. And there's also a secondary form of worship through kind of a decentralized commonality. But decentralized commonality, that is saying bless you to someone who sneezes. That is saying, if someone says God be with you, and your response is and also with you. That there is, you may get together on occasion with everyone else to worship, but there is a sense that this God, of the sea, not just of the sea, like it is a monotheistic God, that this God is with you as an individual, and it almost like a, I think Namaste is something like the soul of, please correct me if I'm mistaken. Namaste means something like the soul of me sees the soul of you. So it's a form of recognition, but it's like it's a spiritual recognition. So at least I might be incorrect, and again, correct me if I'm mistaken, but that's at least the gist of there's a commonality of, I used Avatar, Hotman, right? It is something that you carry and express. And the forms of worship primarily is through experience, travel, and study. You are encouraged to learn, to go out there and to into whatever, scrape your knees or whatever you might have as this creature, to explore the storm, to taste something new, to go out there and just live, learn, laugh. That actually might be holy scripture. You often find that in a lot of maybe like a stereotypical like Midwestern house, right? Live, laugh, love. That actually might be that might actually be like the holy scripture kind of a thing, right? Not just quaint wall decorations in a living room in the Midwest. Prayer and meditation is a second common form of worship. Displays of symbols, tertiary, an accumulation of things, and then there actually no one at all in chat, despite having many votes to put forward. No one voted for either some sort of sacrifice or the works of someone. So it's on there, but it technically got 0 votes. And this is where we find our culture, our current culture. Now, we have not defined, are we living in this species equivalent of the Stone Age? The Iron Age? Is this Bronze Age? We see RuneQuest as a fantasy RPG that is Bronze Age in technology, in general technology level. This could very well be a standard issue, whatever you might consider, late 1600s, 1700s, Renaissance, Western European D&D fantasy world. Could be something like that, where crossbows exist. Or maybe gunpowder is just starting to be a thing. Or this could be, well, it's whenever, right? But we know when we're picking up our story, when we're meeting these people, this is currently the major religion and how it is expressed. And all of everything so far from this entire summary has been born one step at a time. We haven't torn out our hair. We weren't stressing. And you can do this too. This is why I like teaching the workshop this way. So understanding where we are, who we are, and what our culture values, we see a belief system that has formed into a religion. And remember, the religion is the ties that bind. It doesn't mean everyone worships. May very well be outliers, but primarily we have a monotheistic people. And now it is time to talk about technology. And for a start, I am going to give you 5 different periods that are kind of like ones in our world. And this is going to bring us to a technology level of the present day that we find are plant people. Because from there, we can have many, many details of what exists. In our primer for this part, I mean, we had this list that went back 3.3 million years. The first tools of sharp rocks were used. I think we're a little bit beyond that point, but we have 6,000 BC. We have gunpowder at 850. We have railways in 1804. And this is the kind of the where are we, right? Now, railways don't just have to be Wild West stuff. Often, especially in American culture, that is part of the Industrial Revolution, but it's been very heavily romanticized in a Western, a Western style. But it has allowed for exploration, has allowed for a lot of stuff. But also, people walked and took other forms of transportation before the railroad. So let's open up this poll. And I want to know level of technology. You know what? Maybe instead of looking at it like Bronze Age or something like that, as a definition, technology can often be expressed in an age through a genre. So instead, let's call it something like this. And I'll make a note up here too. We're going to call this Okay, so for those of you listening here, these are going to be your voting options. We are going to have either a classic fantasy level of technology. That's broad, and it's okay. We can decide if we want flintlocks or cannons on pirate ships, or if we want to keep it Bronze Age, or if we want to keep it the Riddle of Steel was just unlocked in kind of an Age of Conan thing. Do we want a classic fantasy level of technology? Do we want a steampunk? So this is kind of Industrial Revolution era. This is coal and fire and water and steam. Now remember, there is magic that exists, so magic can fill in some gaps that maybe we need. Do we want more of a steampunk level of technology, right? An age of discovery kind of a thing of these. Now in our world, with how we move and what we require, biologically it's different than these things, but the concept is that cusp of we're just starting to invent great complex machines. Not just we've understood how to process a sword or to make a single shot musket. The third option is diesel punk. Diesel punk is Art Deco style. It is diesel. There's the nice dirty engines. There's some great raw power. You may not have the filigree of a nice brass steampunk contraption, but you might get some raw power out of it. It could be dirty and greasy with exhaust. There's a grandiose cultural art to weave art back into things, not as a part of it that might be expressed through steampunk. We could go to a near future cyberpunk level of technology where there actually has been advances, and this is we're capable of modifying ourselves through artificial means. We have a limited ability to have a biological camouflage, but we might have found ways to enhance that as a way to bring about maybe more of a reliance on technology than ourselves. Or the final option, our fifth option, is just a futuristic sci-fi with all kinds of contraptions that may very well horseshoe very close to classic fantasy, or cycle back around to it might as well be magic, because these people have ships that can take them not just through the sea, not just through the skies, but they might actually be visiting the moon. Cyberpunk, I think, could touch on that a bit, but we're talking futuristic sci-fi. You have 3 minutes to vote in the poll, and the poll is now open. You can vote using your inspiration points, which look like this. Those are your channel points. Everyone gets 1 vote for free, and I want to see the passion of where you would like a general level of technology to rest. You can get extra votes by spending 100 channel points, or the inspiration points. Edwin Sue, hello, thank you for the first time chat. And also Xanderfell, it is good to see you, welcome. Xanderfell says, just in case, the Shannara, Shannara Chronicles went a similar route. They showed our real-world modern tech as the past. With futuristic sci-fi, we could go transhumanism. Well, such that it would exist for these plant people, yes, Edwin. If any of you are coming in new here, the intelligent life that we have created on this world is plant-based, small in a relative sense, like a D&D term, small. And there are some basic biological elements, such as they use tentacles and or like undulating membranes to help get around in water and even in air. We generally see by tactile stimuli. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have cool steampunk goggles, but it would act differently. They wouldn't necessarily be worn on eyes because we don't necessarily have eyes, though the concept can still be translated in a different fashion. Of course, because these people have the desire to innovate, to help them travel, especially as it is a compelling part of what they are, and through their primitive culture eventually turned into the primary monotheistic cultural tie that binds them together. So far, oh my goodness, 38 people watching and only 15 votes. Oh man, everyone's asleep out there. I'm sorry if I'm not entertaining you all. I gotta step up. Maybe I gotta tell some more jokes or something. But you may vote more than one time. Being plant-based tech might have advanced different than it did for humans, as they might have different things to focus on. Yep, and so we'll have to consider that, Edwin. We'll have to consider. It looks like Steampunk won with 11 votes, 2 tied to fantasy or futuristic sci-fi, 1 to Dieselpunk. Cyberpunk got no love. So we're going to have a steampunk style level of technology. So this is the dawning of something greater. You know, this is that turn of the century that we experienced, the Art Deco movement. Oh no, I'm sorry. That would be more the diesel punk route. Diesel punk would be like World War I going into World War II as things were getting more heavily mechanized and everything else. So steampunk. All right. Okay, Rip. Do what you got to do. But we have this age of artistic expression and technological innovation, where we are finding power sources that we hadn't considered before, and we are employing that power source. Now, does it have to be steam? No, not necessarily. Steampunk may very well be something more akin to like a hexpunk, like a magic as the resource is actually the fuel. Steampunk in a way, this is going to sound odd, okay? But bear with me for the concept. You could almost consider BattleTech to be a steampunk style setting. As you have a dangerous source of energy that is powering a lot of society, including great and beautiful things and great and terrible things. Hi! Let's see, it's Hoylepa? Hello. We are brewing, we are home brewing. We are world building. Xanderfell says forest punk, just in case. Forest punk is an aesthetic that is in the nature core family. It is similar to cottage core. Its high regard for nature and mutual support. However, forest punk is less restrictive of technology, particularly solar powered items. Edwin says it might even lead to steampunk faster, as plants might quickly focus on irrigation and water pipes, and if you already have the pipes, then using them for steam is a smaller step. Water mills that wind up springs. Yeah. Now, our biological need for water, while we were born in the shallows of this world, and we primarily do exist, we still do have an aquatic origin. Though even naturally, as the world adapted to the extinction level ice age that occurred it thickened the atmosphere such that our we have this air bladder or this gas bladder that even allows us to operate to hover in maybe the lower, thicker parts of the atmosphere. And in that sense of exploration, in the sense of even developing alongside the tragedy to try and survive, right? This event. Because we do have limited, kind of a limited style of flight. I did. We do need to breathe. We do need food. I don't know what the food is, but chat did decide we need to breathe and we do need food. Water. We don't need to be in water all the time. We can exist outside of it. But we do need to at least consume in some way water several times per day. And think of an interesting discovery that is, while you are a creature of the water, because it hadn't been tried, or because enough of you tried over a period of time, with maybe some inborn adaptability, you actually find that you don't need water all of the time. We reproduce through an asexual form of mitosis. We do not need to sleep. And of course, we do consume food and water, so we do need to excrete. We have a limited form of camouflage to offer us bodily security. And while we ensure the safety and security of our property and resources, mostly through individual hoarding, when it comes to the safety or security of our family is what can help us become at least a small collective to keep each other safe. Our sense of love and belonging is more out of similarity to others or proximity to or from others. Now, sexual intimacy as we understand it would not exist the same way, because our humans of this world do not need to interact with each other in order to reproduce. There might be a more advanced form of a sense of love or belonging, in a friendship or family unit, that might be some kind of an influence, but there's not an actual, the circumstances of the talk that take place. Hoilepa Magic Tech, a Papetto mobile. I'm not sure I understand what that is. They created a clockwork that moves without fuel through a magical circle on gear wheels. Is that something that you have developed? When it comes to magic for these people, what chat had decided on is that magic is coming from the large near geosynchronous moon, one of the two around our planet, and that magic is the medium for magic to flow is life that has adapted to be able to receive or guide it. And while it's not listed here, it is manifested by an application of will. Some very rough sketches for newcomers here. Oh, a perpetual motion, you mean, Hoyle? Our planet has a medium density ring of ice and other things, the remnants of the comet that slammed into the moon that slowed it down to this near geosynchronous orbit. And the second moon actually passes through the ring and has been cleaning it up over a very long period of time. And our solar system has 2 suns and 13 planets, and of course we're focusing on the one that we know. And our one had the 2 moons and the ring, has a very thick atmosphere, and a smattering of the usual stuff, plate tectonics and volcanoes, storms over sea and land, things that you would expect from most other planets. Now, here's a big question. As this is culturally relevant to how we survived in our proto-culture, this ice age, the disasters, and how it came to be adopted as the primary concern of our monotheistic religion. How has technology allowed us to travel better? Question, are the moons in a stationary orbit? If not, it could be a really fun adventure to stop the moons from ramming into each other. One is. One is in a near geosynchronous orbit. A comet collided with it, halting almost all of its momentum. And so it takes thousands of years to travel around. And in so doing, that has caused a very slow migration and even an adaptation to the magic which emanates from it. So that is acting as a source of change or empowerment, as a source of mutation in a sense. The other moon is in a continuous orbit that has just been cleaning up the ring and the debris from the comet impact so long ago. Let's see. So the poll I'm opening up asks, how have we traveled better? The options, and this is going to be, it's not one is going to win. This is the primary concern of the technology to travel better. It allows us food and water storage, greater security. In other words, traveling alone, you're not as armed or armored. Traveling in a carriage allows you to cover yourself in wood and even have other people who are better at fighting travel with you to keep you safe. Let me start over. Traveling is more something that lets us travel in groups. Or the focus is that we can travel more quickly. I'm going to open up this poll for 3 minutes. Everyone gets one vote for free, and you may spend inspiration points, the channel points of this workshop. You may spend your inspiration to add additional votes if you feel very strongly about something. And Hoylepa, thank you very much for the follow. Xanderfell says, I developed a species for my world a while ago. They are humanoid, though more alien in appearance. 2 sets of eyes, sort of triangular head, scaly skin, 4 fingers, feet that resemble dragon feet, 1 tail, and they have 2 sets of tube-like appendages coming out of their back, which they use to breathe. Solitary community, no desire for expansion. They've never left their underwater cavern community since they were first created. Which in my world, that was roughly 200,000 years ago. Vast majority of the world they exist in are unaware of their existence. What was the either as the creator, the storyteller of the game overall, as like the overgod, or just as what is their point or their development in this, or how they came to be? If there's a greater story to them you want to tell, Xanderfell. All right, we are at the halfway point. Get your votes in. We have our various options that... Now remember, we're ranking priority. Our technology to travel was primarily driven by which force? The force of being able to carry food and water? By the force to travel more quickly? This is a ranked thing. Of course, technology, you invent one thing and it does something else completely different. Or there's other purposes that we come to just expect now that this thing has been invented. So go ahead and get your votes in. We're going to rank these from the... what was the reason for our transportation innovation from highest to lowest? There we go. Maybe about 30-ish seconds remain. Get your votes in. Remember, you can vote more than one time. It's only 100 experience, or not experience points. It's only 100 inspiration points. So get your votes in for how you prioritize the reason. What was compelling them to form travel technology? There is no correct answer to this either. I'm not expecting one or the other. This is up to you all. All right, so we had food/water storage as the primary. Then travel more quickly. Then we had greater security. And then a travel in groups. So definitely you all are like, nah, they might actually be way more loners than anything here. Or if they travel in groups, it's almost literally a church bus. Okay, I'm going to open up another question to you all. And this is going to involve the ability that some of them have to be able to use this magical force that exists in this universe. This is going to be the intertwining of magic and technology. All right. So for this, the purpose of technology, beyond something specific, like how has technology allowed us to travel better, because travel is a very important part of this culture, which is why I focused on just that one for a poll. The purpose of our technology as it relates to magic. Is it enhances magic, meaning that you must be a magic user to use the technology that is developed. Technology is meant to enhance magic. The second option is that technology was developed to compete with magic, such that non-magic users are primarily the benefactors of technology. Or has technology been invented to synergize with magic use in this society? Because not everyone uses magic. Not everyone can use magic. They just don't have the stuff or a powerful enough will to apply it, even if they have whatever organ or chemical or something inside them that can act as the magic medium. So, this is going to be the top one. This is going to be competitive. In this culture, the purpose of the technology we're creating is what? To enhance magic, so magic users only, MU only. I don't have a lot of space for the words, I had to condense it. Is the purpose of technology to compete with magic, so non-magic users, NMUs? Or was technology created to synergize with magic, such that they might be able to enhance each other in some way, or even require a partnership between magic and non-magic in order to function? There are 42 of you. Everyone gets one vote for free, and you may spend your inspiration points to vote more. The top one answer will be the answer to this question. In our culture of our plant people, the purpose of magic is primarily to do what? You have about a minute and a half to get your one free vote and any extra votes you'd like to put in. Oh, the competition's heating up. Remember, the first, enhance magic. So technology is an extension of magic. If you can use magic, the technology has been made to make you even more powerful, receptive, whatever, you know. Or is it to compete with magic, such that non-magic users might be uplifted to be able to do things that magic users can? Or, culturally, is technology in kind of a symbiosis or a synergy such that they are entwined together in some fashion? As you're voting, Xanderfell says they were created by the absolute deity of the realm. Basically, her first created. The Zinsalu don't have much of a point since they never leave their home area. There were, however, a subspecies that formed that differed greatly from the Zinsalu's core values. They left the community and became known as the Datros. The Datros would later acquire dark power, tear a rift open, and become the devils of the realm. Looking for your phone with it in your hand, Sugar Plum. The Datros is fairly well known in my world. as they do crave power in subjugating others. Basically, Daetros are polar opposites to the Zinsalu, whom they evolved from. All right, looks like the winner, 37 points, is to compete with magic. So that over 31 points for synergize, or 1 point that it enhances magic, those who already use magic. All right, so the purpose of this culture's tech is to compete with magic such that non-magic users have a power too. Excellent. And there's one more thing that I would like to know from you all here. I'll ask one last question about technology here. In our lecture, quote unquote, we talked about, you know, serving the purpose, right? Or being born from a particular stress. In this case, if their technology, it might have been born out of a period in their history where magic users were perhaps abusing their powers, or people were just scared or in awe, and they needed to feel a way to control, assert control over themselves too, or to even keep the magic users in check. These are all fun little, maybe indicators or imaginative catalysts. So we know that we have this. We just crossed the cusp of a great new technology that uses a dangerous resource, but might still carry a sense of elegance. We know that at least the primary purpose for it was to allow them to better go on pilgrimages, to explore and do all this, and that it also is a way for them to compete against the magic users. The... How do I want to word this new poll? Also, thank you for the raid, Voivode Kahotek. Welcome. How do I want to phrase this? Because it's not a matter of complexity, but I think only the two choices might actually work. So in this case, their technology is what? Is their technology going to be biological or grown? Is this them cultivating special kinds of mineral enhanced sea sponges to act as wood or even metals? Or and so we get into like bioships and just again things that are grown in a classical fantasy setting. Elves who grow their homes out of trees by guiding the growth of living beings, or various bioships you've read in other fantasy or sci-fi. Or is it more harvested and assembled? They find the rocks with the properties they need, and they assemble the rocks. So is it kind of grown or is it manufactured? Those are our two different types. And I want the number one way that they go about making their technology. Now, if I say a bioship, it doesn't mean it has to be like super gross and looking like just a pile of like pulsing bloody meat or something. It can still carry elegance. It can still carry filigree that is etched in after the fact. But primarily, this primarily shallows aquatic plant people with the ability to fly on their own too. How is it that they are making their technology? Now, you might go, well, how do they forge stuff if they're underwater? There's heat vents. There's even magic that through the force of will, the people who create stuff might actually just say, I want all the metal in this rock to be extracted, and whoop, it is. And you don't need a forge like we would as simple land mammals in order to get the metal out, but still be able to work with metal. Or they might work next to various volcanic vents or something if you want something more in that direction. But I very much would like your opinion, and the number one answer is going to win here. Only 2 people of 55 have voted, and we only have a minute and a half remaining. Everyone gets one free vote, and any additional votes are only 100 inspiration points. Get your votes in, everyone. Now with a whopping 2-1 from the 55 people watching, how do you want their technology to exist? Do they cultivate it? Do they grow it? More of a biological fashion? Or do they harvest and assemble it, much like we work mines, we work forges, we cut down trees, shape them with tools, use nails to hold the wood together? Is it more of a product of their artifice, or is it more a product of their growing their environment around them? There we go. Look at that. 77 to 72. It's getting down to the wire. Less than 30 seconds remain. Who's going to win? It's 101 to 103. Get those last second votes in, everyone. Is their technology more biological and grown and cultivated? Or is it more just like harvested and assembled how we might understand it to be? There's no right or wrong answer. Get your vote in for this intelligent species in our fantasy world. All right. So with 167 to 154 votes, these people harvest and assemble resources into their technological needs, wants, desires. Excellent. All right. I think I can work with this. The notes you've been providing me here are going to lead to another big write-up of what is developed and what is developing. And this is going to set us up, since we made our proto-culture, we made our religion, and we've answered questions in the form of how they go about making technology will be able to add this into our consideration for their economy. And the economy is tomorrow's workshop. We'll talk about economic concepts, trading. We'll talk about even resource management as a part of this, as a part of their society too. And I will conclude this workshop, this part of the workshop here, with fun little things to throw in, or indicators about the technological levels, or even exceptions to the otherwise broad technological rules. Kind of like, in Star Trek, they have the Prime Directive, which is to not speak with people who are not at a warp-capable level of understanding or technology. Otherwise, you might spoil their growth, their type of anthropology, right? Their development, because they might see you as gods, and that could be abused, etc., etc. So, there could be interesting exceptions, or how you do want to work in magic and technology of any level. You have a sword. Well, now it's a magic sword, and even creating a sword is a technological marvel itself. Given everything that you had to grind up a bunch of rocks out of a mountain, using a lot of fuel and other resources to make a fire hot enough, and then you had to shape it and hone it. You got to get the leather and everything. Although in part that's going to be a little bit of the economic talk. But I want to showcase a method for me to try and make an enhanced declaration about the state of things in a fantasy world. And I did so with a fun little animation that I made for the members of the Chroma Company, which was a D&D campaign that I ran. This particular thing was an event maybe 2.5-3 years ago. And it just shows this fusion of magic and technology, of culture, and what happened in this very dramatic, exceptional moment that was forged out of a moment of extreme duress. And after I showcase this fun little demonstration of ways you can work these concepts into your fantasy game, or sci-fi, or something else, well, I'll be content, but I also get to show off a little bit to you. So, I mean, pardon me for that, but now that's our intro to our Red Space Alien RPG game that we finished up on Tuesday. But most importantly, I wanted to showcase this. Now, there's a good chance that most of you here, you were not present for the events that happened, but you don't need to know exactly what happened to cause what you just saw. This was the merging of a hexblade warlock with a bioship, such that in a moment of extreme duress, these two rival forces came together and were able to navigate the harsh skies they found themselves in. This was a matter of applying will, actually. This is something you all voted on, by the way. This isn't just me patting myself on the back. And this reinforces the fact that innovation is born from necessity, from compulsion, or the need to be praised or rewarded, either through tangible or intangible means. You know you will. There is no other option for what is going on. You have to do what you have to do. So here we have the professor being challenged, despite both knowing what needs to happen, but it is in Selter's nature to challenge, to be the dominant one. And he grabs her to assert that, and he is rewarded. But they fly closer, the dragons appear, and the ship is heavily damaged by the dragons as they fight. If they don't innovate, if this does not happen, they will die, and other bad things were going to happen. You know you will. This is that extinction level event that you must survive to adapt and thrive. And so they did. And we had this fusion of the concept of if you're familiar with the Hexblade Warlock in D&D, the weapons on this otherwise just slowly growing bioship that ate other material to incorporate into itself now had this measure of selection, now had this measure of adaptability to the situation. We see the damaged hull, but that there are now weapons ports that are opening on the sides, getting ready to fire their Eldritch blasts, like a barrage, like a battery of cannons. We see the bow of this bioship open up in this representation of the captain's mouth itself, and a gout of acid just spills out of this new thing that happened. And yet it wasn't just magic. Now in this case, I mean, it's binary code, but that's kind of a representation of technology to us. And I'm telling the story to you all, so hey, if it works, it works, right? And so here we have this magic and technology, in a sense, coming together to make a blend in order to eventually take down something that is both and even neither, that is lurking and watching the entire thing unfold. And so, despite the dark and menacing future on the horizon, the bright comet of this fused ship rises up and reforms into something. And we see that the professor, who is dragged down through the fleshy decks and confronted, slashed by the captain in challenge, is at the helm of this great ship. And, well, the Repentless was able to do a couple things after this moment, too. So I hope you can use the pressures of the circumstances to push. You can use the pressures of the circumstances to adapt, or to or at least preserve and rethink your plan, because this is where innovation and this is where technology is born. It's not exactly a technological marvel to turn a fan remote control into a weapon, but I'll tell you, if I have to defend myself, I would much rather be holding this to bonk someone than to just rely on the soft flesh of my hands to do so. And in this case, an implement of comfort has become an implement of destruction through necessity. And this is a heart of technology, which is why it is so easily abused, but also can bring a great many wonders and advancements to us. Just as with the societal and cultural concepts of religion and how it can do beautiful things for people who are in dear need. And it can also be quite ruinous on individual, small group, or wide scale levels as well. These are powers to employ alongside. I mean, magic is just kind of another way to be a catch-all term for these real life concepts. And so I hope you can find it in you to work these concepts into your games, into your worlds. If crossbows exist in your world, that's fine. And especially if in someone else's, they don't. Gunpowder or something else. But if you understand why or how, that can help make your world richer. It was born out of necessity, an accident, out of just some messing around, because someone actually had every other aspect of their life able to be taken care of, such that they could afford to spend their time and their resources just putting some sticks and string together for a little while and seeing what could happen with it. So they're very subtle ways of showing a level of advancement of your culture, of the civilization and the civility with which the people operate. Rip Artist, you know how to call Coffee Cat, just play a Chroma Company video. I love discussions of Chroma Company stuff because it influences Rebirth now. That is the sequel campaign that Coffee Cat's running on Thursdays. Because my story takes place elsewhere in the world, the gods are more of an influence in the world than they were. Yep. And for their own reasons, which if they are not known, might very well become known. Why are there differences between the original setting and the expanded setting? Why was Mesotopia as it was, and what was the point and purpose of it? So hopefully you like this. This was a fun little animatic. It was the first, it was the first one I put together of other people's art. That I was more offering direction to someone else and had to communicate my ideas. The original one I put together with very crude sketches. But I meant that to be because they were supposed to be almost like cave paintings, which was very coincidental because my art style is about as advanced as cave paintings can be. So it worked in and out of character, but I knew what I wanted to express, and I found a way to do so that I was comfortable with. But this one right here was really my first major direction of an art project with someone else. And it really, it started a lot of fun things. So I hope you enjoyed it. I got to get up because I drank some bottles of water, and wouldn't you know, life finds a way to interrupt a good conversation. So let's go to the break screen for a little bit. Everyone get up and get a snack, or go to the bathroom, or pet your cat or dog or something, and admire your fish tank if you have a fish tank. I'm sure it's beautiful. But yeah, let's take a break, and we'll be back in just a little bit. So stick around, everyone.